Compared to other platforms, selling on eBay is a little bit more complex. Finally, after selling on there for a couple of years, I'm starting to get the hang of it. I'm seeing some progress with my sales over there. So I wanted to create this complete beginner's tutorial for anyone who wants to start selling on eBay. But I have so much information, tips, and strategies to share. It would be impossible to fit it all in one go. So this right here is going to be part 1 of a 3 eBay video series. Today, we'll lay the groundwork. I'm going to be sharing 7 essential things that you need to have in place before you even get started selling on eBay. In part 2, the next video, I will be talking all about how to list and ship your eBay packages. And in part 3, it'll just be eBay selling tips. And in that video, I will also include anything else I may have missed along the way. Starting with the absolute basics, the very first thing you're going to need to start selling on eBay is access to inventory. And to determine how you're going to get that inventory, you need to decide what business model you're going to follow. There are many business models you can follow on eBay. One of the ones I know is called drop shipping. I've never tried this before, but from my understanding, the way drop shipping works is that you act as the middleman. There is a manufacturer and a buyer who wants what that manufacturer has. You link them together, and when a sale is made, you keep a cut of that sale. That's as much as I know about drop shipping. If this is something that appeals to you, make sure to go on YouTube and do some more research on how to use eBay to sell via drop shipping. The rest of this video isn't going to cover much of that. The second business model is called retail arbitrage. And this is where you go to retail stores like Walmart, Target, Ross, Burlington, and you find things that are on sale or on clearance. You buy them for cheap and sell them for higher online. In this case, on eBay. And then the third business model is just traditional reselling. Here you will also be buying stuff for cheap and selling it for higher, but you will be focusing on new and used clothing, shoes, accessories, or anything else you want to sell. So it's very similar to retail arbitrage, but instead of going to retail stores, you'll be getting your inventory from thrift stores, consignment stores, wholesale boxes online, and many other ways. And within all of these business models, there are also many other sub-business models. With traditional reselling, for example, there are many avenues you can take. You can focus on selling only luxury brands, mid-tier brands, or selling only mall brands. There are many categories to choose from too. You can sell only toys, hardware, electronics, linens, and you can focus on getting your inventory only from thrift stores or only online. What business model you go with is going to depend completely on your lifestyle, the space you have available, and what you enjoy selling and doing the most, which in the beginning you may not know what that is yet. So you can start like a lot of other people do and just sell a mix of things. Slowly, you'll start finding what you enjoy selling the most and just what sells the best for you. And eventually, you can settle and focus on one category or a group of categories. So don't think that you have to fully decide on what business model you want to go with before you get started. I just wanted you to know your options for now. And I also do want to share my business model so that you can know where I'm coming from with the rest of this video and the subsequent videos as well. And I also want to share what I recommend the most. My business model right now is traditional reselling with a main focus on shoes and just a little bit of clothing. I shop at thrift stores when they have big sales, and I try to go for items that are priced $5 to $7 with the intention of reselling them for anywhere from $25 to $35. Although sometimes I do come across some items that I can get more for like $30 that I can flip for $70 to $100. So it varies a little bit, but that's the gist of it. And that is the business model that I recommend most beginners start with. Because with traditional reselling, there is less investment. than with retail arbitrage or even drop shipping. And also with the clothes and shoes, it's a lot less risky than other categories. Like with hardware or with electronics, you have to make sure all the pieces are there. Some of those things can be fragile and can get broken during transit. It's just a lot more risky and a lot more complicated when it comes to selling those kinds of things. That's why, in my opinion, traditional reselling with something simple like clothes and shoes, or maybe even DVDs and games, is a great way to get started. Those things are a lot more simple to process and inexpensive to get started. There is another option that I highly recommend for beginners to get started that will require no investment at all, and that is to get started selling stuff from around your house. This is how I and many other people got started, because it's a great way to get your feet wet, to learn all about selling, listing, and shipping items on eBay without any money up front. So look through all of your drawers and all of your rooms of your home, your garage, your kitchen, everywhere, and find anything that you no longer need or use. I'm talking clothes, shoes, videos, DVDs, game boards, anything that is in like new or in great to good condition, you can try selling on eBay. There are some items that you are prohibited from selling, and I will leave a link to their Vero list down in the description, and that is just a list of brands and items that they do not allow you to sell. Once you do have all of your items ready to go, you're going to need some cleaning supplies to get them prepped and ready for pictures. Now, the amount of prepping is going to be more or less depending on where you got the item from, whether it's new or used, or you got it from the thrift store or around your home. It's all going to depend. I am about to show you all of the things that I use to get my items prepped, and it's quite a bit, but I really want to emphasize that I did not start off this way. I slowly built my supplies over time, and I recommend that you do the same. This is going to be a recurring theme throughout this whole video. Use what you already have when possible. As you start making sales and start making money, then you can start investing in all of these nifty gadgets and supplies that you're going to see me share. For now, only invest on things that are absolutely necessary. For clothing, one of the main things I use is a steamer. This is a professional grade steamer that I got on Amazon. This and everything else will be linked down in the description. I really like this one because it has large wheels here on the side, so it makes it easy to move it from place to place. It has different temperatures you can put it on. This water tank back here is pretty big, so I don't have to refill it too often. I've had it for a couple of years and it's never failed on me. It works really good. Before I got this steamer, I did use just a regular iron to get my items looking nice for pictures, so you can always do that. I have this Febreze here that is perfume free, so it doesn't have that strong Febreze smell, but if an item you get at a thrift store has a musty smell or a very strong cologne smell, that can sometimes do the trick to get it smelling a little bit better. I have this here. I'm not sure if at y'all's thrift stores they put stapled prices on the items. Mine do, so that's why I have that there. I did buy a pack of these 3 large scissors from Amazon. They come in handy when prepping items, but also for many of the other parts of the process. When it comes to reselling, you will need lots of lint rollers. I buy them in large packs. And here I have this, what's called a fabric shaver, I think, or a sweater shaver maybe. This will get rid of any peeling that's on sweaters or leggings. Sometimes it has little fuzzies on the inner thighs, so this will get rid of that and get them looking perfect. Before I bought this, I did use just a regular unused razor, and that also did the trick. So if you need to get rid of some peeling and you don't have one of these yet, you can try a razor. I keep these stickers on hand just so that I can mark things that have flaws. As I'm prepping items, if I notice anything has a stain or a snag that I can't get off, or any shoes that have some damage, I will put the sticker on there just so that I or whoever is taking pictures that day is aware that that item has a flaw that we must take an up close picture of. And all of these things here is what I use to prep my shoes. I have some saddle soap. This is to get leather cleaned. This is to condition leather. It's called Doc Martens Balsam. I have these two things here that come in a pack. They are to clean suede. I use this brush along with this cleaner here for shoes like sneakers or dress shoes that need some scrubbing. I mix baking soda with Dawn dish soap to get rid of stains on jackets, sweaters, shirts, jeans, and I will scrub it in with this toothbrush here. This Goo Gone is what gets rid of prices underneath shoes. When they write it with marker, it's easy to get it off, but when they write it with something more permanent like a Sharpie, then I will use this right here. I keep these wipes handy, and this is a pretty big sized one that I get at Walmart. And I also have lots of these little towels handy for when I'm cleaning shoes as well. And I do have a video where I show how I put all of those cleaning shoe supplies to use. I will link it in a card above here and in the description below. If you want to see a detailed shoe cleaning tutorial, make sure to check that out. The next thing you're going to need is photography equipment. I'm going to show you everything I have and how I use it. But first, I want to talk about the bootstrap way. To get started, you really only need 3 things that you most likely already have. The first thing is a camera. You can really just use your phone. Those pictures come out nice enough to upload to eBay. It's what I started using and what I use to this day. The second thing you will need is some lighting, and that can just come from a large window in your home. You can even take your pictures outside. You'll just have to make sure that you make some time to take your pictures in the daytime. And then the third thing is a clear background. That can be a plain carpet if necessary, a plain wall, or any white desk or table can work as your plain background. Those are really all the things you need to get started. And once you're ready to start investing to upgrade your picture setup, you can purchase other equipment like a light. I've tried many over the years, but this one right here is by far my favorite. It is by a brand called Newer. It is a huge ring light that will light up my whole setup with this one light. I like that this right here is super long, this cord, so I can connect it in an outlet far away. You can adjust the height of it so that it's super tall. What I do is put it behind these boards here, and then I tilt it over so that it's shining right on top of my setup right here. It has this LED screen that has many different settings so that you can change the brightness of your light as well. You can use these knobs here to turn it up or down. And for my plain background, I use these whiteboards. I have one standing up here and one here on top of this desk. I purchased these at Walmart for about $10, and I do have to replace them, but it's only like once, maybe twice a year. They do get a little bit dirty. As you can see, this has a lot of marks. But when I take pictures with the brightness of the light and everything, you can hardly see all those marks that were left behind from shoes. So that's the setup for the shoes. For the clothing, very simple. I use these white hangers that I get also at Walmart for bottoms like shorts, jeans, leggings, or anything like that. And I use this clear acrylic hangers for any tops. I put the item on these hangers, and then I will use this nail that is on this white wall, hang it there, and that serves as my plain white background for my clothing items. Another thing you're going to need along with your photography equipment is some basic photography skills. You don't need to be a complete expert in order to start selling on eBay, but there are some basic skills that will help you capture clear, clean, professional-like photos. For starters, I suggest that you take all of your pictures in a square format or in a 1:1 ratio. Here on my phone, when I have the camera open, up at the top there is a setting that says 1:1. So it is already set at a square format. As you can see right here, it shows that it's going to take a square picture. If I tap on that and switch it to, let's say, full, now the screen gets wider, and if I were to take a picture, it's going to take the full screen. When you change it to a square format, that's just going to ensure that your pictures upload correctly without anything getting cropped. And another benefit is that once you do sell on other platforms, if you ever plan to do so in the future, like on Poshmark, you'll be able to easily copy those photos from those listings and upload them to Poshmark with no problem. There on Poshmark, they do require your photos to be on a 1:1 ratio just so that everything can upload nicely. Aside from that setting, there are many other things that you can change in your phone's camera in order to take bright, clear photos. So make sure to go onto YouTube and search for photo tips or camera tips for the type of phone that you have and make the necessary changes. The slightest change can make the biggest difference. There are many things that I didn't know about my camera on my phone that I learned through watching videos, and just making some small changes made the world of difference. My pictures look a lot better now from when I first got started. Recently, eBay changed it so that you can upload a total of 24 pictures per listing. Now, I don't recommend you go and use all of them just for the sake of uploading as many pictures as possible, but I do recommend you use as many as you need to show the important things and all angles of the item. For shoes, you will need a cover photo, so just a front view of the shoes. You will need a picture over the top, maybe under the toe box, a couple of side views, and a picture of the back heel. And if the platform is a little bit high, or if it has a high heel, then you can go ahead and measure that and include that in the pictures as well. I just use a yardstick or a ruler, put it beside the platform or heel, and take a picture of that. For clothing, you also want to take a good cover photo, so a full front view of the item, and then any close-ups of details. Then you want to flip it around to the back side and take a full picture of the back and any up-close pictures if necessary, if it has any details or things like that. You want to make sure that they're able to see if the item has pockets, especially if it's a dress. If it's a jacket, you definitely want to show them what the inside lining of the jacket looks like. A lot of people ask me questions about that, and it's best just to include all the information necessary up front. Don't forget the material tag on your clothing items as well, and if the item happens to have a flaw, no matter how minor, no matter if it's a small dot of a stain or a little snag, make sure to take a up-close picture of that and also include a note of it in the description of the listing. This will help you avoid bad cases, angry customers, and bad feedback as well. Clothing sizes vary a whole lot from brand to brand, so it is even more important here that you include measurements. Now, you can always include them in the description of your listing, but I like to include this part in my picture taking process. It just makes everything run a lot more smoothly, and since I already have the item out and hanging up on my wall, it's a lot easier to just go ahead and take the measurements and include that in my photos. So right here I have a bunch of measuring size chart templates for many different kinds of clothing items. So this is what I will use to record my measurements while the item is hanging up on the wall. I take a fabric measuring tape, take all my measurements, write it on the designated size chart and take a picture of that. And later I will just upload it along with the rest of the pictures of the item. I created these size chart templates on Canva, and then I went to FedEx to have them laminated. That way I can use an expo marker to write on it, and I keep a microfiber cloth close to me so that I can erase it and reuse it for the next item. And I do have these for sale now, so if you're interested in purchasing these, I will leave a link down in the description. The next thing you will need is a SKU number system. There are many ways that you can go about this. They sell pre-made SKU numbers on Amazon that you can purchase. You can print your SKU numbers as well. But what I did is bought blank labels on Amazon, and then I would just use a marker to create my SKU numbers. So here is what it ends up looking like. It's just a letter with a couple numbers behind it. And this SKU number will stay with this item throughout the whole listing and selling process. And basically, SKU numbers help me keep track of my inventory. It helps me keep track of that item here at home, where I keep it stored, on my spreadsheet, on eBay, anywhere I want to find information about this item. Once it sells, all I have to do is search for this SKU number to find it. You can get started selling on eBay without a SKU number system because you won't have that much inventory anyway. You don't need an elaborate system to try to keep track of it. But once you do start to grow your inventory and you have anywhere from like about 150 to 200 items, then it will be really important for you to start labeling each of your items with a SKU number just to keep things organized. I keep all of my SKU numbers in this binder right here, and I have some dividers to keep them organized by letters. This sheet right here tells me what each letter stands for. So A is for tall boots, B is for ankle boots, D is for dress shoes, and on and on. So if that day I'm going to be taking pictures of dress shoes, I'll just flip here to the D's and use this sheet while I'm taking pictures that day. And I did start all of my SKU numbers for each of the letters at 001. And I've been going up from there ever since. So when I start to get low, like for these D's, this is the last page, then I will start a brand new sheet. This is a blank label sheet. You can hardly see it. It looks like a plain white paper, but these are in fact individual labels, just like this one. So I will start this new sheet right where this old one left off at D451, and I will go up from there. I try to keep 2 to 3 sheets per letter at a time, so when I see I'm running low, I will get my daughter to write some more of these for me. So once I'm done taking the pictures of all the angles here on this whiteboard or on my wall, if it's clothing, as well as measurements, then I will take the item and bring them right here. If it's clothing, then I will fold it neatly, and then I choose a poly mailer that will fit the item. I have 4 different sizes here. I will neatly put the item inside the bag. Choose the next SKU on this sheet and put it towards the left-hand side of this now packaged item, just to keep things consistent. Next, I'll take a picture of this SKU number so that I have it later when I'm listing on eBay. And then we can move on to the next step, which would be to weigh the item. Something you will definitely need to sell on eBay is a shipping scale. Shipping is determined by the weight and size of the package, and eBay will ask for this information as you're listing your item. And even though you could estimate just to get your listings up, you will need to know the exact weight of the item before you ship it, or else you could be using the wrong weight label and it will be more costly down the road. This is the scale that I used for a couple of years. It recently broke, so then I upgraded to this bigger one right here, but this one worked just fine for those 2 years, and I will leave both of these linked down below. This newer one though, I do like a lot better just because it's bigger, and it also has these flaps here that you can open up to put items in here and they can stay a lot better. I also like that you can put this anywhere so that you're able to see the weight a lot better. With this one, sometimes with bulky items or big boxes, it was hard to see the weight underneath because it would get covered up. But with this one, it's a lot easier to see now. Something really important to note here is that when you input your weight into eBay, that weight must also include the packaging you will be using to ship your item, as well as any other packing material like tissue paper, bubble wrap, thank you cards. All of that must be included in the weight. To ensure that I'm accounting for all of that, I use these 2 dummy boxes when I weigh my items. I use this small one for shoes, jeans, small sweaters and things like that, and this one for more heavy bulky items like jackets and knee-high boots or even bulkier work boots. That's when I will use this large box. So the way it works is I put the box on top of the scale, and then I will put the item inside the box, and then I will take a picture of this number on the scale so that I can have it later when I'm listing this item on eBay. Those may not be the boxes I actually use to ship the item once it sells. I may go with a bigger or a smaller box or even a poly mailer. I use those dummy boxes just to give me a rough estimate of the weight of the item when packaged. And then I will use that to create my listing and to make sure that I'm charging the buyer enough for shipping. Later, when the item actually sells, I can choose the correct packaging, and I can always update the weight if needed. It may all sound a little bit confusing if you've never done shipping through eBay, but later in the next video when I discuss shipping in more detail, it'll all start to make sense. For now, just know that you do need a scale and you need a rough, kind of close estimate of your items when packaged and with all package materials. Next, last, and very important thing you will need is an inventory storage system. And this is just an organizational system that you will use to keep track of and manage all of the listings that you put up on eBay. Using SKU numbers is part of that organizational system, but you also need a physical space and some boxes or bins to keep your items organized. When I first got started, I would just fold all of my items neatly and put them all together into one big basket. But eventually my inventory grew to a couple hundred, and that's when I moved on to version 2 of my inventory system, which included purchasing some clear poly bags and organizing my inventory by categories. So I got old boxes that I had from online orders and different baskets that I did not use from around my house, and that's how I kept my inventory separated by different categories. I would put all the jeans together, the dresses, the shoes, but eventually I hit 400 items in my inventory, and that system became inefficient as well, and that's when I moved on to version 3. This is where I started creating those SKU numbers and labeling each item individually, and I started to collect a lot more boxes just to continue to keep everything organized. I do have complete videos on those older inventory systems that I will leave linked down in the description if you want to check those out and see an explanation of them more in depth. But what I want to do right now is show you my current inventory system, which is basically still version 3 but almost version 4 because I have made a few upgrades. Once an item has gone through the entire process of the pictures, the measurements, the SKUs, the weight, and all of that, I will put the item into this tub right here. And once I'm done with a batch of pictures for the day, I will take this tub and go put them into their proper place in my inventory system. Here is my closet, one of the places I keep some of my inventory. Up here, hanging up in hangers, is where I've been keeping my purses. They're all labeled with P SKU, so P stands for purses. Down here below that, we have our B's, which are all ankle boots. And over to this side, we have all the D's, which is basically anything that's not a boot. That's what I put here. After years of reselling, I finally got tired of having mixed matched boxes. So I invested in these brown boxes. I got those from some restaurant online store. I don't even remember what it is, but I will try to find the link to them and leave it down in the description. So here's the way it works. All of these P's are ordered low to high. These B's down here are also ordered by SKU numbers low to high, as well as the D's over here. Everything is organized from the lowest number over there to the highest number down here. As items sell, that is going to leave some empty gaps in between all of these boxes. So that's when I will do what's called consolidate, which just basically means to push all of the items down to fill in the empty gaps. But I do that while making sure that the numbers continue to stay in order. When I do that process, that's going to leave me with huge empty spaces on the very last box. All of my SKU numbers go up and never down. So when new items come in here into the inventory, they will always go at the very end. They will be the larger numbers. So this ensures that my inventory continues to stay organized from lowest to highest. Here in my garage, I have even more inventory, and I have them separated by categories as well. Here we have the O's, which are dresses. Then we have the N's, which are tops, and then shorts and jeans. Down here, I do have the jackets and large sweaters. And for these, I still do use these large boxes that I've gotten from online orders, just because they fit a lot better here than in the smaller brown boxes up here. And here I still do have some of my older Amazon boxes that I used to reuse before I started buying these from that restaurant store online. And here the system basically works the same. I have all of my H's here, which are jeans. They're all ordered in SKU numbers from low to high. Anytime I see that there are a lot of empty spaces in between, I will consolidate them, push them all down, making sure that they continue to stay in order. That will leave me with a large empty gap here at the end. So when new inventory comes in, this is where it'll go, and it will be the highest numbers, because as I said, my SKUs go up and never down. These boxes are sitting on top of this old party table that my kids painted over. And the inventory boxes on this side are just sitting on top of this old closet door that we did not use anymore. That is on top of this black foldable table. And I also have this right here set up to hold this door up. That way it can hold my inventory. So as you can see, my inventory system is still pretty bootstrapped compared to some that I've seen. I don't have any large shelves or large tubs going on yet. And this is what's working right now. So I'm going to keep doing this until it doesn't. Once I see that it's becoming too inefficient to continue this way, then I will completely move on to version 4. To wrap up this storage talk, I want to re-emphasize a couple of things. The very first one is just to reiterate that the inventory system that I just showed you is not where you need to start. When you're just starting, you're not going to have that many items anyway, so it's perfectly fine and okay for you to start with something very basic. As long as you have your things organized and they're easy to find once they sell, that's all that matters. Over time, you can upgrade your inventory system, as I have, and start investing in the poly bags, the bins, the shelves, the SKU numbers, and all of those things. The other thing is that my inventory system is just one of many ways to do it. There are people who don't use SKU numbers at all. They just use large tubs and then label those on the outside and put that number as their SKU on eBay, and then they know where to find it once it sells. So there are many different ways to do it. Do your research, watch some more YouTube videos on inventory system, pick and choose what works for you, mix and match things. That's what I have done to come up with the system that I use now. Once you've taken action on the 7 things that we discussed today, you will be ready to move on to the next step, which is to create your eBay account, list your first item, learn how to ship and package your items. All of that and more is what I'm going to cover in my next eBay video. So make sure you're subscribed so that you get notified when that goes live. If you have any questions about today's video, or if there's anything you really want me to cover in any of the next 2 eBay videos coming up, make sure to leave a comment down below. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today, and I'll see you next time.